Hello everyone, and welcome to the 3-day virtual bootcamp. Get clients from other people's events, how to collect credit cards instead of business cards at any event. I am so excited to share this information with you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join me this evening. I so appreciate you. I view it as a privilege and an honor that you have chosen to invest your time with me this evening, and or whenever it is you're listening to this recording. If you're overseas, I appreciate you investing your time with me, and I do not take that lightly, and I promise to give you the very best of me. So for those of you joining us, I know you're going to love this because I'm going to teach you how to get clients from other people's events so you can ultimately create consistent cash flow in your business. So you'll learn this because each day of the boot camp is dedicated to one of the 3 steps that you have to take to get clients from other people's events. So today is step 1, how to find the best events. Tomorrow will be around the theme, how to position yourself super powerfully so that you can engage in great conversations that turn into clients. And then step 3, which will be Thursday, day 3, is how to make the big money from sponsorship and speaking. I'll also throw in some tips in there on how to make big money as an attendee as well. But the focus will primarily be on how to make big money from sponsorship and from speaking on day 3. So welcome, welcome, welcome. This will be an interactive bootcamp for those watching this live. So if you have questions, feel free to pop into the chat, post any questions that you have, or if you have an insight or an aha, feel free to post it in the chat. I will do my best based on time to answer any questions that you have. But if I'm not able to do it today, I will review the chat and I will reach out to you to make sure that you're clear on any questions that come up for you during this bootcamp. So this bootcamp is all about you guys. I want you guys to get so much content and value from this. So this bootcamp is for the service-based business owner that wants to build a simple and sustainable business that gives them the freedom to do what they want when they want. So, and they don't want to worry about where their next client is coming from, right? That's not a good place to be at. And this is for the service-based business owner that wants to grow their list and have raving fans that are excited to hear from them instead of generate cold internet traffic. It doesn't have any real warm human connection. Also, this is for the business owner that wants to, hey, why not pick up some clients while you travel, right? That's a nice bonus. But also, this bootcamp is for the business owner that really wants to make a massive difference. A lot of our clients that we end up working with and people that we align ourselves with typically have a big mission and they want to make a big difference in the world in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's something like marketing, they know that their marketing has an impact and there's a trickle-down effect. So this is for the people that want to make a massive difference as well. So if all of that sounds like you're in the right place, okay? So what I want to share with you before we get started is there's a new savvy business owner in this world today, and it's you. Because the truth is, you have your goals inside of you already, and you know that the lifestyle that you want to have. But because of that, we all need to, all we need to do is just teach you. Once you have these goals and you know the lifestyle that you want to have, all we need to then do is just teach you how to cut through the noise and simply go where your clients are waiting. And all we need to do is teach you how to take that giant leap forward in your business and quickly get clients and do it without all the chaotic and techie techniques that are out there. And all we need to do is teach you how to, so it's really better leveraging your time and your efforts and teaching you how to do that. So you get a higher return on your investment of your time and the resources that you have. So we're going to teach you how to create a system to finding and closing clients fast. And we're going to help you understand and be able to determine which events and which strategies at these events are best to use for your business based on where you are and your current expertise level. So once we teach you all of this stuff, we can match you and your business and your lifestyle goals to a process that's proven to get clients in a simple and savvy way. Then you can have the business that gives you the lifestyle that you want, where you can work as little or as much as you want, travel when you want, take care of your loved ones the way you want. You can have peace of mind that you know where your clients are coming from. That's huge, right? Just that peace of mind that you're not worrying about where's the next client coming from. And you'll be able to have a simple and methodical plan that you can count on and use over and over again because it gives you results. So when you're a savvy business owner, it's your business, your way. But I know you might be thinking to yourself, maybe secretly, everyone else looks like they have it all together and they have it all figured out. I feel awkward at events and I don't know what to say. Or why would someone hire me right after meeting me at an event? I mean, what makes me so special? Or can this strategy actually work for me? But it's okay if you have those thoughts or feelings, because a lot of business owners who start out using these strategies feel this way. And I know for me personally, when I started using these strategies, I thought, where am I going to find clients? And am I going to end up just wasting a bunch of time and a bunch of money at the wrong events? What do I actually say that's going to motivate and excite people and make them interested and want to work with me? And then how do I sell? Not just the typical sales process, but how do I sell at an event? Is that environment different? How do I do that? But for me, the biggest thing was I didn't want to spend a ton of time creating funnels and complicated marketing systems. I want time freedom and I want money freedom. I want a simple business that I can count on. And if I'm stuck chasing leads one at a time constantly and building out these online marketing funnels, I'll never be free. So if you've ever had those thoughts too, this bootcamp is also for you. So this bootcamp is for the coach that wants to change a life. It's for the speaker that wants to share their voice with the world. It's for the internet marketer that wants to make a real difference, but also wants to still have that warm human connection. Or it's for the author that wants to make a bigger impact than just a book. Or the artist that's tired of not getting their gift out into the world and sharing it with humanity. But this is also for the business owner that doesn't want to trade time for dollars and wants to be able to create that consistent cash flow in their business that they can plan and they can count on. So here's the thing. I'm about to jump into the content and I want you to stay to the end, because if you stay to the end, I'm going to tell you how you can claim your 2 gifts, the 2 gifts that you heard about most likely as you were registering for this bootcamp. So gift number 1 is how to find conferences and events where your clients are waiting. Gift number 2 is 7 questions to qualify conferences and save $7,000. Plus, right at the end, I'm going to show you 4 simple steps to sharing what you do in a way that makes people cross the room and actually come and find you to speak to you. So really, really powerful. And I'm going to share that right at the end, because it's not going to matter what you say and how well you say it if you aren't in the right room in the first place. So it's important that you first know how to find and qualify the best events for your business, right? And I emphasize that because what's a good event for my business might not be a good event for yours. So these simple steps that I'm going to share with you is what has helped me close $50,000, even $100,000 in sales at someone's event, not from follow-up. I closed this sitting in the hotel lobby, sitting face-to-face with a hot prospect that bought from me. So I'm going to share how I did this at the end, so stick around. So before I jump into content, by now some of you might be wondering if we're just meeting for the first time. Hi. You might be wondering, who is this woman and how did she get here? So I want to tell you briefly a little bit about me and how I mastered this skill set. If I'm being honest, it all started for me as a young child. I grew up in an abusive household with a parent who had a mental health disorder called, it's commonly known as multiple personalities, but it's the actual diagnosis is dissociative identity disorder, DIDD. And as a result, I created the meaning that I never knew where I stood with people, and that I had to work hard to get someone to love me and want me. So my parents had a very similar and difficult upbringing as well, but they never did the work if you know what I mean, to heal their pain. So I made a determination when I was 17 that I wouldn't repeat that mistake. And I started reading every self-development book I could get my hands on. I attended seminars and events that would help me heal and see myself as a worthy and lovable human being. So working hard on improving myself became a passion, or maybe some of my friends might say an obsession. But I went to college for psychology and music therapy. And I planned when I went to college for music therapy that I was going to start my own music therapy business. While I was in college for this, I had 2 clients that were business coaches, and I helped them use events to get clients and close 5 to 6 figures. But something happened when I graduated and started my music therapy business. I very quickly realized that it was not the path for me. Music was my passion, but it wasn't my business. Anyone relate to that? You kind of go down a road, even for, a few years or a good chunk of time, and then you just realize, you know what, this is not the path for me. If that's ever happened to you, feel free to jump in the chat. I'd love to hear about it. But yeah, so I just realized it wasn't the path for me. But what was ironic is this realization came to me when I was at a week-long personal development event. Go figure, right? I'm at an event. And I realized I had fallen in love with events because people are open at an event. They come to an event because they want to learn, they want to grow, and they want to transform. So I fell in love with events. It just made sense for me. And it was like this aha, like, should have had a V8 duh kind of moment where I was like, events, that's what I should be doing. That's what I'm doing now. So it was perfect because while I was in school, again, I was working with clients and showing them how to get clients from events. And I ended up creating a step-by-step system on how to host 6-figure events. And I developed a process for going to other people's events and leaving with new clients sold. So I was ready to go, right? And I lived happily ever after as a business owner. Not quite, not quite. So 2 years later, I found myself at another 3-day business event, but this time I was stuck sitting in the hotel lobby. I was sitting in the hotel lobby, pissed off and embarrassed because the hotel wouldn't let us in our room because we didn't have enough money in the bank to cover the room costs and the incidental fees. So I'm sitting there waiting while my husband's on the phone with his mom, asking for a couple $100 so that we could be covered for a couple days. I was so embarrassed and I was pissed. Oh, I was so livid. All this personal development work, all of this work knowing and learning how to create 5 to 6 figures in a weekend, and I still don't have enough money to cover the room and incidentals. Are you freaking kidding me? Anyone ever been there? Right? So his mom lent us the money. We got into our hotel room, and at that event, it became very clear to me 3 things. First, well, before that, it was clear to me my business was out of control. And I knew that I needed to do 3 things. Number 1, I had to go back to the basics. And number 2, I needed to look at some old programming and some beliefs that were still showing up. And number 3, I needed to be honest with myself if I was really being consistent in my efforts. So, because I knew how to make the money, and I was making good money at times. I was on the edge of a 6-figure business a few years back, but I was stuck in that feast or famine, because I wasn't planning things out. I wasn't consistently following the process that I knew worked. And I was letting that old programming, you have to work hard to get someone to love you, to show its ugly head again. So I went back to what I knew worked, and I did it quickly. That very weekend, I found and I closed a $15,000 client that very weekend. And I was only an attendee at this event. I didn't have a sponsorship booth or a speaking slot on stage. I was just an attendee. And then when I got home, I did some work on my beliefs, and I worked the process I knew worked. I looked up events that were coming up where my ideal clients were going. I invested in a sponsorship that was a couple months away, an event that was a couple months away. And then at that very event, I closed $100,000 in sales at the event. And I keep getting sales from that very event. It's years later. And I keep getting sales from that very event to this date. And so I've continued successfully using this process ever since. I learned my lesson. So this is why I am so passionate and excited about sharing this information with you, because so many business owners I meet are letting their belief that they aren't worth it, that they have to work hard to, and that's getting in the way, or it's slowing down their success. And they're doing way too much and getting bogged down in complicated tactics like online marketing and funnels, instead of just using the basics and getting those down and solid first, which is meet someone new, show them your value, and then sell your service. And then they're also stuck in that feast or famine mode, like I was, because they don't have a proven process that they can rely on and consistently give them the results they need so they can consistently get clients. But once you've mastered this skill set and learned the process of going to someone else's event to get clients, it's really like creating cash from conferences or events. And then that belief that you're not worth it, it fades away because you see your own value and other people are showing you your own value. But most importantly, you see it with your own eyes. And you can keep life and business simple if you want, and you can plan to go to a handful of events throughout the year so you can make sure that you have consistent cash flow and you don't end up stuck in a hotel lobby like I was. So over the next 3 days, I'm going to show you how you too can have a process you can rely on and help you close 5 to 6 figures from events, whether you go as a sponsor, a speaker, or attendee. Sound good? So this content is sequential. It builds on top of each other, okay? So day 1, you need that foundation for day 2, and day 3, you need day 2 to help you understand day 3. So it's important that you attend all 3 days in order for you to be clear and understand everything, and you don't miss a really important critical piece that would make the difference between making money or it being a dud, to be honest, right? So we're going to start first today with the most important piece, right? Which is where I see a lot of business owners go wrong. When someone comes to me and they say that sponsorship and events don't work for them, it's because 9 times out of 10, when I do some digging and ask them questions, it's because they're in the wrong rooms. They didn't know that there was a process and a way to find the best events for them, and they certainly didn't know how to qualify them. They maybe knew to ask one question, but they didn't know how to truly do the due diligence correctly to make sure that it was actually a good event for them to attend. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So let's jump in. So the first step, we're gonna talk about the very first step to finding the right events is to be clear on your why you're using this strategy and what you want it to do for your business. This is really important, and I hope you stay with me because I'm sure you may have heard about your why, and it's important to have a why. I'm putting a different spin on this, so hang with me for a minute. Your why is so important because it's going to impact the strategies that you use when you're at an event, and it's also going to impact which types of events that you participate in. So it's really important to take some time to answer these questions. I'm going to lead you through a step-by-step process on questions for you to ask to help you determine your why. So don't worry if you don't get all these questions written down. I'm going to give you a link to a document or a form at the end of this bootcamp where you can actually get all of these questions and write down your answers. And that's actually part of your homework. So I mentioned for this bootcamp, there's an assignment for the bootcamp to help make sure that you're clear and that you're getting all of this. This is part of that assignment. So you will get the link to that form for you to complete that assignment at the end of the bootcamp. And again, I personally am going to review your answers to make sure that you're all clear. So question number 1 in determining your why is, what do you want this event to do for your business? So just pause for a moment and just think about that. What do you want this strategy, going to other people's events to get clients, to do for your business? I mean, the quick, simple answer might be, well, I want to make money, I want to get clients. But I want you to think a little bit more and think deeper about what really is the goal for your business that you want the strategy to help you achieve? Do you want to host events in the future? So is this a way for you to grow your list so you can host events in the future? Do you want to become an industry leader? Do you want to set yourself apart from the competition? Do you want to create reliable cash flow? Do you want to be able to create a simple business and a simple life where you just have to go to 1 or 2 events per quarter and that consistently feeds your business and your leads? You know, I know for myself, the reason that I use this strategy is because I only want to work part-time. I want to spend the rest of my time with, for those of you that don't know, my brand new 4-month-old son, River, and doing volunteer work. So I gotta share something with you guys really quick. So give me a second. It'll be worth it, I promise. This is River. Isn't he cute? Aw, cute. Aw. He's in his little bear outfit. We're going for a little walk. It was cold outside. But anyways, this is part of my why. I want to be able to spend as much time with this cute little guy as much as possible. So he is a big part of my why and why I make the decisions that I make in my business. So just wanted to share that cute little picture. Okay. Yes, he's so cute. Thank you so much. But anyways, so I want to spend as much time with that cute little booger as I can. I don't want to miss stuff, and I know I'll miss a few things here and there, but I want to eliminate that, and I want to spend time with him and doing volunteer work. So that is very important to me, to have a simple business in life. Oh, thank you. He looks a lot like his dad too. If you know Aaron or you go on our website, you'll see pictures of Aaron. I have a baby picture. I'm going on a little tangent, but I have a baby picture of Aaron. He looks just like him. They're like twins. It's cute. Anyways, back to the why. So the next question for the why is, how much money do you want to make each year from going to conferences and events? So when you answer this question, I want you to think about the expenses that might be involved with going to these events, any trips or vacations you want to take with family, any debt that you want to pay off, or just investing in your business to continue growing it. Whatever the case may be, just think about how much money do I want to make each year from going to conferences and events. Number 3, how will the money that you make from this strategy impact the people in your life and that you love? So for me, that means I get to spend more time with River. It means that I get to pay off my old college debt, right? Or whatever it is for you. But how will this impact your life, and how will this impact the people that you love? You know, for me, it will impact River because he got to see a strong working mom, but she also got to spend time with him. It was balanced. But anyways, got to spend time with him. So that is going to impact him and his development and what he sees. So think about that. How will this money that you're going to make impact your life? And then what is the trickle down effect? How will it impact the people that you love? Do you want to travel is the next question. Do you want to travel to events? If so, how far will you travel? I'm okay with traveling a little bit here and there if it's something that I can do as a family and we bring the nanny, AKA grandma, with us. I'm happy to travel to events, but for you, maybe it's, I don't want to go outside of a driving radius. I don't want to fly. Or maybe you're fine with that and you want to pick up clients while you travel and see the world. That was a lot of fun. Before we had River, we would travel and we would tack on some extra time at whatever city we were at. So we got to, all over the world, we got to fly and travel together. And it was fun for me and Aaron, my business partner. That's who I keep mentioning, and husband. So when you're deciding, so those are the questions that I want you to go through and answer. There'll be a few more in your assignment based on what you're going to learn later in this bootcamp. But those are the main questions that I want you to really stop and take some time to think about when you're mapping out your why for these events. Because again, it's going to impact the decisions that you make on what are the best strategies for your business. Because if you don't want to travel, obviously that's going to impact what events you choose. You know, how much money you want to make is going to impact it. Also, what do you want the strategy to do for your business is going to impact the type of events that you select. So that's step 1. Step 1 is getting clear on your why. I'm going to take a sip here just a second. Step number 2 is we're going to spend some time talking about ideal client versus target market. It's really key that you know who your ideal client is. This is step number 2. Know who your ideal client is, because there's a big difference between target market and ideal client. Now, I'm sure as a business owner, you've heard target market before. There's a real important and powerful distinction between target market and ideal client. So we're going to spend a little time talking about that and getting clear on what the difference is for you. So difference between target market and ideal client is a target market is a general group of people that can use or benefit from your services. Within a target market, there are subsets of smaller and more specific people that you can work with. So I'll use myself as an example. I could very easily say my target market is business owners. Okay, great. Business owners. I could look up events for business owners, sure. But there's all types of business owners. Someone who owns a fishing tackle shop is a business owner. No offense, but someone that owns, a fish tackle shop is not my ideal client. So we can break down in people into groups on what types of business owners they are and the services that I want to provide them and the people who I want to work with. So I really want to think about who is my ideal client, and that's what I want you to think about. Who do you want to work with? So for me, one of them is coaches. Coaches are one of my favorite ideal clients to work with. So now I've narrowed it down to coaches, but I can narrow that down even more. So there's all kinds of coaches. There's business coaches, there's health coaches, there's relationship coaches, there's mindset coaches, there's financial health coaches. I mean, there's a coach for almost everything nowadays. So I can even niche this down even more. And this is so important because the more clear you get on exactly who you want to work with, the more targeted you are in the events that you find. So the better quality events, therefore the better prospects you will have from these events. So it's really important to get specific on who your ideal client is, so you can get better results, right? You've heard the saying probably before, there's riches and niches. That's basically the concept here. So you might be right now saying, but wait a minute, I've heard focus on my target market, target market, target market, target market. So let me give you an example of target market versus ideal client. So there's some businesses that can do their marketing and pick what events they want to do based on their target market as a general sweeping statement. But you can't as the business owner, you just can't. I have full confidence to go out and say that you cannot just do this based on target market because you're not big enough. You don't have millions and millions of dollars to throw in marketing to just at a general target market. So who does? Here's an example, Pepsi, right? The Pepsi company or Coca-Cola. They have deep pockets for their marketing. So they can afford to be general in their marketing to appeal to a larger audience, and they can still be effective because they're already a well-known brand and a well-known product to the public. So they can be very general in their marketing. But if you're in business and you're on this boot camp, you don't have the same large marketing budget as Pepsi. We just don't. We don't have millions of dollars to throw at marketing, or who knows, they could spend $1 billion for all I know. But you don't have that ability. So we need to be more specific and more niche in order to get better results. And just a side note, I've seen Pepsi actually get a little bit more specific, like they're appealing to millennials a lot more now in their commercials. So even they know that there's power in niches. So now we're going to talk about how you can determine who is your ideal client. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I'm going to give you a free gift at the end of the bootcamp today for being here on the bootcamp. That's going to list out these questions. So you don't have to grab all of these. If you got a pen and paper, grab what you can or what ahas you get, but I will share these with you. So To help you determine who is your ideal client that you want to focus on first, ask yourself some of these questions. Who are the people that I've worked with that were my favorite clients? Right? We want to rinse and repeat the ones that like you got up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a call with so-and-so today. I'm so excited. She's always prepared. She does this, she does that, right? So what do your favorite clients look like? So let's replicate those. So who are the people that were your favorite clients? For me, a lot of times they work some way, shape, or form in business. So they're motivated. But to me, that's one of my favorite clients to work with. I have several, but that is one of the favorites for me. So I like to replicate that, and I go to a lot of business events. Number two, who are the people that are in pain and desperately need your help? This is key because you want someone who is aware that they need your help. For obvious reasons, or maybe not so obvious, it's a lot easier to have a conversation with them and move them to action because they're aware of the pain and they want a result, they want help. So who are the people that are in pain and desperately need your help? Here's another good one that a lot of people don't think about. Who is irrationally passionate that I can help and serve? So this is another great one to narrow this down. I'll talk more about this in a second, actually. Let's go to the next question. What are some of their other needs and where do they go to get help? That's another great question because we want to start thinking how they think. What is it that they need help with? What resources are they looking for? What support do they need? We want to like put ourselves in their shoes and think, okay, if I was a health coach, what would I need support around? And where would I go to get it? So start, putting yourself in their shoes and starting to think about them and where they go. So let's work through these questions with an example. Let's say you were an empowerment coach for women, right? And you want to help them own their power and overcome their self-limiting beliefs. You would ask yourself these questions that I just did. So who is someone that is in pain and desperately needs your help? I just talked about divorcees, people that have, divorced, widowers, women who were let go from their job. They desperately need help and are in pain. Women who are over 40 and want to find love. Women who are trying to overcome some sort of a trauma. So these are all women that are in pain and desperately need your help if you're an empowerment coach. So now let's narrow that down. Who is irrationally passionate that you can help or serve? Well, you could help women who are just starting their own business, women who want to own a franchise or who just started a nonprofit. Who else is irrationally passionate? Well, in my experience, there's a lot of multi-level marketing businesses out there that are very passionate, right? So they want to tell everyone about their product, and whether it's Tupperware or Mary Kay or essential oils, they're very passionate about what they do, maybe irrationally passionate about what they do. But women who, like I said, started their own business, they're excited, they're ready to go, or they want to buy a franchise, or maybe it's a mother of a gymnast or a child that plays sports, right? If they don't have the right mindset, how are they going to coach their children to have the right mindset? So they need an empowerment coach, and they're also very passionate about helping their clients, their children succeed. So they would be irrationally passionate. So this is what I want you to start thinking about is narrowing this down and peeling back the layers and getting deeper and deeper, because this is all going to help you when you're looking up events to find the best events for your business. Great question. Irrationally passionate equals fanatical. Yes, to an extent. Maybe not like, crazy psycho passionate we're talking about here, but we're talking more about someone that is just like, they're like a rocket. They eat, sleep, breathe, whatever it is, right? All they want to do is talk about it, and it's almost like hard to get them to shut up about it. So the first thing that comes to my mind is someone that's in an MLM, a multi-level marketing company like Mary Kay, essential oils. That's all they talk about, right? So that's an example of someone who's very passionate. So again, we want to peel back the layers. We want to dig deeper into our target market and really niche it down deeper, deeper, and deeper into these smaller groups, because it becomes a lot easier to pick who are the people that you want to serve, who are you passionate about serving and helping, and it also makes it a lot easier to think about where are these people going, where do they go, once you're very clear on this. So it makes this process so much easier to find the events and conferences when you're clear on who your ideal clients are that you want to work with. So that's step 2. Step 3 that we're now going to talk about is looking up the conferences and events. So now that we talked about how to get clear on your ideal client, not just your target market, now we have clarity in who it is we want to work with, and now we can start thinking like them and where they might go. So now we're ready to start looking up events. So now step 3, again, we're going to start looking up and finding the best conferences and event for your business. So I'm going to walk you through some of the steps, but I'm actually going to demo this for you. I'm going to show you part of this process on how to actually look up these conferences and events. So I will share my screen in just a little bit and show you guys how I do this process. But first, I just want to share with you just some of the basic steps on how to do this. So again, what we want to do is get into their shoes, and we want to be creative and think outside of the box. So you're going to brainstorm and ask yourself some questions like, where do my ideal clients go for support or for help, or for information on products or services? Are there any user events that they go to, for example, like a software user event, things like that? What associations are my ideal clients a member of? You know, there's a lot of things out there that people could be a member of that have annual events that you could go to. So if you aren't sure where your ideal clients go, simple, ask them if you're not 100% on where they go. So for example, a client of ours had a target market of very general business owners. Once she niched down though, she got a little bit more clear on who her ideal client was, female coaches and consultants. And she found an event called Icon, which is a software user conference. And it's not a women's conference, but women business owners, coaches and consultants, they go to this event because it's a software specifically for business owners. So they went to this event, and this is where they found 3 new clients. The first time they went there, by using the strategy, they closed over $60,000 from 3 new clients that they got at this conference. So they started putting this event on their calendar every year because it was working. But what helped them think of this conference and find this conference was they started thinking about where was their ideal client going to get support. And so that's how they thought about this user conference. So again, we want to think about where it is that they're going. But we also, a lot of times, which I always find fascinating, the psychology of it, is a lot of times our ideal clients is someone that is just like us or who we used to be. So a lot of times the people we end up having as our favorite clients are people that are who we used to be or where we used to be in our life or in our business, and we're trying to help them grow. Right? I mean, amen, right? If that's you, I know that's me, right? It's usually someone helping that is in the spot where I used to be in business. So think about yourself. Think about where you would go. Where would you turn for support? Where would you go to get help? Or where did you reach out? And what did you look up? And what events did you go to get support? So think about that, right? I know when I realized that, that was really profound for me, and it helped me find some real gems and some really great events. So think about that. Okay, so let's keep this moving here. So now we're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty on how to actually search and look for conferences and events. So I am a self-proclaimed nerd in some ways. I love to learn. I love to read. And so for me, this process is fun. I now have a team that I train and they help me do this, but this part I love because I get to, it's kind of like a treasure hunt, right? You're kind of looking up and finding events, and you kind of stumble across some real gold mines. And So when I find like a really good event that I've never heard of before and no one else has ever heard of before, I get really excited. So for some of you, maybe this isn't going to be the funnest part and it could feel a little long and tedious process, but just remember that the outcome is going to be worth it. The potential that this will lead to will totally be worth it. And you can pay and train someone to do this for you, but you first have to learn this methodology for yourself so that you can accurately train someone to do it for you. So the first time you go through this process, give yourself some extra time, be patient with yourself, and I would plan on spending, a few hours. I'd plan on spending several hours doing this the first time you look for conferences and events and then qualifying them. Okay, so let's talk about that process. So if you were reading the emails promoting this, you may have seen the spoiler alert on how we do this. It's this magical machine called Google. I'm joking with you, but Google is how we search for and we find events. It's one of the ways. Actually, there's a second way that we find them as well, but Google is the primary way that we find these events. But the key is knowing the keywords and how to layer your search. It is going to help you find the best events and find the events that no one else knows about. So how you search in Google is really important. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into Google and you're going to type in one of your ideal client groups that you came up with. And then you're going to add an event type. So let me do this. I am going to share my screen in just a second. And I'm actually going to just demonstrate this for you now. Okay. Okay, so we're on Google. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in our ideal client group. So I'm going to put health coach. You can see I've done this before. Health coach events. Now let's see what chimes up for us here. Let's see, we've got the Health Coach Institute. We've got extraordinary health coaching events on Eventbrite. We've got all these different events coming up, coaching events and conferences in 2020, right? So you see automatically it pulls up stuff for that. Let's see, so let's check out, how about let's check out this first one. No, actually let's do the second one. Let's check this out. HCI Live, never heard of this one before. Must attend event for coaches and health practitioners. Okay, so if my target market was a health coach, so far so good, it's looking good. It's in April through May in Charlotte. So you found this event. Later on, we're going to go through the process of how to qualify. But when you're on this website, this is where you would look for some of the information, right? Under sponsors, sometimes there's information to help you qualify. There's usually contact, frequently asked questions. But here's one event that looks pretty good. If I'm a health coach, this looks like a great event. It's a 3-day event. There's sponsorship opportunities. And it looks like it's an established event. So we'll get through the qualifying part in a second. I'm getting a little excited ahead of myself, but here's a good event as an example. Let's go back and do another search. Okay, let's see. What else comes up? Health coach membership. Awesome, look at this one. This one is in Florida, November 7th. Okay, this one is in the past, so we need to update for the next one. But when you find this, here's a bonus tip for you that usually if there is an event, they did, like this one was in November, a few months back at this time, they're going to do another one in 2020. Actually, it looks like there's a link. Nope, that is the page. So they just need to update it, but you could always reach out to them to find out, right? So here's their support. You can reach out to them to find out if they have dates for the next event. But you can, in the meantime, you can check out what was the last event like and what did it look like and does it look like something I want to be a part of. So again, this is another event for a specific ideal client group, health coaches. and I put in the word events. So let's do another search, but we're going to keep the ideal client group health coaches, but now we're going to put in the word association. Okay, National Society of Health Coaches. Let's check this out. But now we're going to look and see, do they have any events? Let's see, I don't really see much on here. Let's check another one. Let's put association events on it, right? So again, you can layer the search and add on to it, but you can put on, hey, if you're in the UK and health coaches are your ideal client, there's one for you. Okay, so here's another tip, is that there's different companies out there that will post conferences and events coming up, and even specifically for an ideal client or target market. So knowing who your ideal client is and knowing what the calendars are that people will put out will help you save time in your search. I also have a calendar that I subscribe to that posts about business events. So the point is, layer the search. So you could add on the word association. You could write health coach seminars, right? So adding on and layering your search and putting different words after health coach is going to change things. And also, if you put a location. So earlier, one of the questions we asked when figuring out your why for events was, do you want to travel? And how far do you want to travel? So let's say I only want to do events in Florida. So I would type in health coach events, Florida. Eventbrite has a bunch. That HCI or Health Coach Mastery Live event is in Florida. There's some for Orlando. So the point is, if you put in a location, that also will help you with your search. So maybe you only want to do events on the East Coast of the US, or you only want to do events on the West Coast of the US, or maybe you only want to do events in London or in Ireland or a certain location in Ireland. So wherever it is that you want to do events, Google will help you find it, because that's just the way Google works, is if you put in these specific keywords, it only searches for results for that. So I go through, when I'm looking up events, let's do business coach events, New York, because I'm in New York. If I wanted to look up an event for business coaches, that is what I would do. So again, I would put in business coach events. I would put in, and you see I've got different events that came up for that, right? Or I could change this to say seminar, and I would get different results. And you might see some of the same ones coming up, but as you go through and you look through your searches, there will be different ones that come up, because the different keywords will trigger a different result in your search. Again, associations. A big one for associations, if you have lawyers or corporations that you work with, associations come up a lot for that. So the key is, this is how you layer your search when you are looking up events. And I'll get to the specifics on how to qualify the event and what I mean by that in just a moment. But right now I wanted to just demonstrate to you who or how to look up these events. So if you have an ideal client in mind for your business and you're not really sure how to look them up, feel free to put them in the chat box, and I'll do a little research for you as well, and I'll show you some examples. Or if you're unclear on how to categorize them, just post a little bit about your ideal clients in the chat, and I'll help you clarify that a little bit. And you can also put that in your assignment. There's a spot for you to put any questions that you have. You can put that in there as well. Okay, so let's talk about step 4. I want to make sure we get through all of this for you guys tonight and get you to bed if you're up at a reasonable time. So let's talk about step 4, qualifying events. So what I mean by qualifying events is making sure that these events are the right fit for your business. So there's a series of questions that you need to go through to make sure that it's going to be worth the time that you need to invest and the money that you need to invest, because using events to get clients, using other people's events to get clients does take some sort of investment on your part. Even if it's just going as an attendee, there usually is, even $25, $100, something that you have to invest in order to go. So any dollars that you put into your business, you want to make sure that you're investing wisely. And any time that you put into your business, you want to invest wisely. So it's really important that you take the time to go through, ask questions, and learn about the events that you're considering going to, so that you're not wasting any time or money. So we're going to go through a qualification process to make sure that they qualify as being a good event for your business, and that it's one of the best events for you to be going to. Because this is where I see most people making mistakes, is they don't know how to qualify events and they're in the wrong rooms. So I don't want you guys in the wrong rooms. I want you to be very clear on what is a good room for you and qualify to make sure it's a good event. And this is also really important because what I see happening a lot is people will search, like I just showed you, how to find events, or they'll hear about it from a friend, or they'll even hear about it from their business coach, and it sounds great. And you might even look at their website and it looks great, right? Like one of those health coaches events that we just looked at, that event looked really good. It looked impressive. But once I go through and I ask questions and I do my due diligence, it might turn out that they're just putting lipstick on a pig. Right? If you've heard that term, or you're from the South, put a lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig at the end of the day. It's not a good event. They just made it look pretty and they made it sound pretty. So it's still not a good event for you to go to. So we really want to be a detective. It's your job to be a detective and to find the answers to the questions that you need to get answered, so you can make the best decision for your business. Okay, so there's actually 7 questions that I'm going to take you through that you're going to use to qualify events. Okay, and again, this is one of the gifts that you're going to get by being here on the bootcamp and being here to the end of the bootcamp is I'm going to list out all of these questions for you, 7 questions to qualify conferences and save $7 grand. Why do I say save $7 grand? Well, if you're looking to be a sponsor, it's amazing how quickly the expenses can add up. Even a sponsorship alone could be $7,000. But let's just say, it's let's just say it's a sponsorship that's, $2,000. By the time you book your flights, you pay for hotel, you pay for travel, you pay for food, it adds up. And it could be easily $7,000 or more, right? So knowing these questions can help you save a ton of money. Maybe it's not $7 grand, maybe it's 20 grand, or maybe it's $1,000. But the point is, when you go through this process and you qualify these conferences and events, it's going to save you money and it's going to save you a lot of headache. So I'm going to share a quick story before I get into the questions on why this is so important. I had a client who had a successful business. They were already doing 6 figures in their yearly sales, and they were growing with their services ranging anywhere from $25,000 to $60,000, and they were looking to continue to get high-end clients for their businesses. So they heard from someone, it was a reputable source in their opinion, that there was an event coming up in Phoenix, Arizona that was perfect for them. This is how it was sold. This event is perfect for you, exactly what you're looking for. You gotta be at this event. This event looks great. So they looked up the event. This is before they were a client. They looked up the event, and they saw the website for it, and it looked great. So off they went. They bought tickets, they paid for a sponsorship, they booked flights for 3 different team members, and paid for being a sponsor with a table or a booth at this event for 3 days. But when they arrived at the event and they set up their booth, they realized that where their exhibitor booth was down the hall. It wasn't even in the same building. It was you had to walk on this pathway to a separate building from where the main event was being held. So they had their expo set up. This is what they call it, right? An expo area where they have all the sponsors and their tables or their booths, advertising of products and services. It was in a separate building. People had to walk down to go and check it out. So the next day when the main event started, they walked in and they realized that we aren't going to get any traffic and people aren't really going to come in. And then once they saw the attendees there, they're like, oh my goodness, this was not who I was told would be in this room. They were, well, to put it in their words, hippies. These are business coaches looking for business owners that want to grow their business. Hippies, nothing wrong with them, but it was not their ideal client. That's not who they were looking for. They were, the heart-centered, woo-woo, I can feel your aura and energy, type people. Beautiful people, but just not their ideal client. So it's it's really important. I'm laughing because I remember them telling me this story, and it was funny with some of the stories they shared and some of the people they met there. The point is, this was not the event that was advertised to them. They were told it was their perfect target market, people that were serious about business, and that it was going to be a great opportunity for them. It just was not the right place for them. So at the end of it, they paid at least $7,000 for this trip total, and they got nothing out of it. Not a single client, zip, nothing out of it. So, this unfortunately is a very common occurrence for businesses. So this is why it's so important that you know the questions to ask so that you don't end up at an event with the wrong people and with the wrong opportunity. So I don't want you to waste money on this, and I don't want you to waste time. So let's make sure you're in the right room. You're at the right place. So we're going to go through the 7 questions now. And the free gift that I'm going to show you or give you at the end of this boot camp will also tell you where you can find some of the answers to these questions. And if you can't find them, how to get the answers yourself, right? So make sure you read through that. But right now, we're just going to talk about how to be a good detective and how to ask the questions what questions you need to ask to qualify conferences and save $7 grand. So number 1 question, what percentage of your ideal client group is in the room? So you might ask when you're contacting the event host or the event planner, that you're looking to see where your target market attends the event. Can you describe who typically attends this event and how many people attend this? Excuse me. So again, for this question to be really effective, you have to be clear on who your ideal client is. We already went into that, but this is just a reminder of why it's so important. You need to be laser focused on who your ideal client is. If they say to you that it's coaches, okay, if you know specifically who your ideal client is business coaches or health coaches, then ask them that. What type of coaches typically attend this event, for example? So when you're on the phone with them and you're asking them questions, you want to ask them what percentage of the room are health coaches, or what percentage of the room would you say are business coaches, right? I'm just using that as an example. Another question, here's a bonus tip or bonus question to ask them, is once they tell you, yeah, I would say probably at least 60% of the room is business coaches. And I would say, oh, okay, great. Do you know what services they're in need of right now, right? And so I ask these questions before I tell them what I do. That's another bonus tip. Okay, that's question number 1. What percentage of your ideal client is in the room? Number 2, when and where is the event? Sounds simple, but it is really important to gather this information Because when you're compiling all this information, and you want to make a decision on which is the best event for you based on your budget and what you're able to invest, it's important to know how long the event is, because how long you're gone is going to determine, is this the best investment for my business, or is this going to stretch my business a little bit too much if I'm gone, for 3 or 4 days or longer. So when and where is the event is really important for you based on your business goals and what your budget is and your current expertise level in business. So that's an important question. It may sound obvious, but it's important when it comes down to selecting which event is best for you. Number 3, what are all of the costs involved? For the same reason, you're going to weigh out these events and conferences and see which one is the best for you. So it's important for you to think about all the costs that come with going to an event, and some of the little things that you may not think about is, what marketing materials will you need to bring with you? What about travel? Hotel, gas, food. Are you going to pay to be a speaker? Are you going to pay to be a sponsor? Or are you just going to purchase a ticket and attend the event? There's still a cost associated with that. So you want to become clear on what are all the costs involved so that you can see a snapshot of, okay, event A is going to be a $5,000 investment. Event B is only going to be a $200 investment, So that's going to make a big difference in what events that you select to participate in. Number 4, this one is so key. And if this question, my client had asked, that example that I told you about with the hippies, if they had asked this question, they would have saved themselves a ton of money and a lot of headache and frustration. They wouldn't have the funny story that they told me, but they would have saved themselves a lot of money. Number 4, what is the location for the vendor booths or expo, right? So they call it an expo oftentimes, or if you just ask, what is the location for the vendor booths or exhibitor booths or tables? This question is critical. Especially if you're looking to have a vendor booth or table or be an exhibitor, vendor, same difference. It's the same thing, tomato, tomato, whatever you want to call it. But if you're going to have a table or a booth that showcases your services, it's critical that you know where is that going to be located. Because if it's in a separate room than the main event, or if it's not even in the same building, like the example of my client, then it's not going to be a great event for you. The only event that I will ever consider doing a sponsorship for is if, this is really important, if my table or my exhibitor booth is going to be in the main flow of traffic throughout the entire event. If the expo area where my table is going to be in a separate room away from the main event, I do not do it. And I highly recommend you don't do it either. The only exception I would possibly consider is if I was a speaker on stage and I was able to make some sort of a free gift or an offer, and I could drive people and drive traffic to my booth, then maybe I would consider it. But even then, I would be hesitant. So the best rule of thumb is if it's not in the main traffic flow, don't do it. I've seen events and conferences do all kinds of crazy things to try and get people to go in if it's in a separate room. It just doesn't work. I've seen them give away prizes. I've seen them put food in there. I've seen them do scavenger hunts. I've seen all kinds of things to try and get people to go in. But what happens is they go in once, they get their food, they look around, they never come back. That's just what happens. If it's not in the main flow where they have to look at everything and they see your banner and they see everything, you're just not going to have the conversations that you need to have to really get the results from it. So it's just best to just avoid it altogether if the vendor booths are in a separate room or in a separate building, for sure. So when you're on the phone, right, this is one of the ways that you're going to get the answers to these questions is if you can't find it on the website, you're going to call the event person, the contact person on their website and ask these questions. When you're on the phone with them, if the person you're speaking to on the phone doesn't know the location of the expo, this is a red flag. So this has happened to me before where I've looked up an event, the website looks fantastic. Really, they had a great graphic designer and website person. But when I called them, they were going through, everything sounded great. But then I get to this question of where's the sponsorship table or the expo going to be? They didn't know. And to me, that was a red flag right away, because they should be able to know this information, because if they know their stuff, then they know that the location of the table is really important. Or if they don't know this information, maybe they're new to the team or something, they should be able to find it out very quickly. And if they can't get you that information or they haven't decided yet, that should be a red flag. So if they do know where it is, in contrast, that's a great sign, right? And it shows that they know what they're doing with events. It shows that they know, basically it shows that it's not their first rodeo, that they know what they're doing. This is not their first time doing this. So it's important though that you ensure that the expo is in the right location and in the flow of traffic. Because this is so key, I have actually asked the event host for a copy of the floor plan of the hotel or the venue. Or if they don't have it, I've gone on the website for the hotel and looked at the floor plan to see where the expo area is going to be, because I want to be able to have the best strategies possible to have conversations with people to get the best return on my investment for it. So people that are experienced in doing this, sometimes they will have that in their information packet for the event. So that's also a good sign if they have it. So in your free gift, I actually give you an example, a visual example of a hotel venue, what their floor plan looks like, and where their event space would be, and where would be a great place to have the sponsorship tables, and where would be a bad space to have the sponsorship tables. So you could take a peek at that. But again, I can't stress enough how important this is. So number 5. What was the number of attendees at the last event, and how many do they currently have registered for this upcoming event you're considering? So a couple of important things with this question. Number 1 is you don't want to do a sponsorship for an event. It's the first time they're ever doing this event. You don't want to be their guinea pig. So if it's the first time that they're ever doing this event, they could say, oh yeah, we're going to have 300 people coming to this event. If they've never done the event before, they have nothing to base that on. They have a plan, I'm sure, for filling their event. If they have an event team or a strategist like me teaching them how to do it. But if it's their first time, they don't have any proof of concept yet. So you only want to do sponsorships where you're paying to be there once they have an established event. So number 1, the first part of that question, what was the number of attendees at last year's event? That tells you they've done it before. And then how many are currently registered for the upcoming event you're considering? This second part of the question is really key, because even if they've done it before, if the event is a month away and they're saying, oh, we're going to have 200 attendees here, and it's a month away and they only have 50 registered, that kind of tells you right away, right, that it's not probably going to be filled. And you need to take that into consideration. Yeah, they'll get a surge of people to register last minute, but not 150 people. So it's important to know how many people are currently registered, not just what they're projecting will register. So that distinction is very important in the questions that you ask. Number 6, how many years have they been putting on this event, and what was their attendance for all the previous years? Kind of similar to the question I just asked, but the distinction in this is you want to see what is their track record. Are they growing? So if they've been doing this event for 5 years, is this event growing, or is it consistently staying the same? And either one is fine. If the event is growing, fantastic. But if it's consistently staying the same, then you know that you can plan on, okay, this is a good event that I know will have, 100 people here, there, or it can still be a good event even if there's 50 people there, as long as it's your ideal client group. But what you're looking for, again, is proof of concept, and that the event is consistent or growing. Number 7, the 7th question is, what percentage of the attendees are local? So meaning they live like within 100 miles maybe or less. And what percentage of the attendees travel to the event? This question is really important to ask because it tells you a few things. It tells you if people are traveling to attend this event, if a high percentage of them are traveling to this event, then that means they have disposable income. And that's important for you because basically it means they're not broke. And if you're going there as a sponsor or an exhibitor, you want to make sure that the people that you're looking for as prospects have disposable income, and they're able to invest in you and your services, and that they're not broke and it's a local event and they're just driving down the street to attend this event. So it doesn't matter if a ticket is free or they get the ticket cost refunded to them. That doesn't matter. What matters is, do they have a good percentage of attendees that fly in or travel to the event? If it's all local people, you might want to weigh that out with some of these other questions to see if it's worth it to you. If you're local as well, then it might be worth it for you to go to, especially if they do charge something for the event. So again, there's a bunch of different things you need to weigh out with this, but the overall point of question number 7 is you want to see, do the people attending this event have disposable income so that they're able to actually hire you, and it's not just a room full of broke people. So last tip that I'm going to share about this before we start wrapping up and talking about a couple other things is, this is really important, and I say this with love. It's important to remember that it is the job of the person on the phone to sell you the event. That is their job. If you're calling saying, I'm curious about this event because I want to attend or because I want to sponsor or speak, they're excited. They want to sell you this event. So they are going to put as much lipstick on it and make it as pretty and put bows on it as much as they can. So you just need to remember this when you're on the phone with them. I'm not saying people are misleading or being manipulative in any way. At least I am certainly hoping they're not. But it's just important to know that. So it's important to do your homework and to be a detective and ask these questions and follow these questions, because they're like this for a reason. So just do your homework and verify and go through this process to qualify for the events. And also, don't let anyone muscle you or strong arm you into making a decision right then and there on the phone. Tell them you appreciate their time and all these answers, and you'll let them know you're going to go over the information you gathered and you'll get back to them soon. So people will respect that once you say that. So just don't let anyone try and strong arm you into making a decision. You're a responsible business owner that needs to weigh this out, and people should understand and appreciate that. So conferences and events are a great way to find events, to find clients, but it is an investment. So just, like any other investment, you want to make sure that you do your due diligence and minimize your risk so that you get a good return on whatever you invest in your business. Okay. So once you go through and you gather all the answers to these questions, the next thing you want to do is compile the answers. Okay. And we'll talk, that is a whole other process we don't have time to dive into right now, but basically we have a spreadsheet that we share with our clients that's very simple to put the events kind of side by side and look at them and compare it and make a decision. But basically you want to compile the answers and look at your business goals. So we talked about that in the very beginning. What is the goal for your business? You want to look at the budget that you have at your disposal. You also want to take into consideration your current expertise level in business. So if there's a great event and there's a great opportunity where you could pay to speak at this event, but you've never spoke on stage before and made an offer, you probably don't want to pay $5,000 or more to speak on a stage and let this be your tester. So that's just an example. You want to look at your current expertise level in your business. your budget, your business goals, and decide and make a good decision on what events are best to participate in and how you're going to participate. Are you going to be a sponsor? Are you going to be a speaker, or just go as an attendee? There were only 7 questions on that we were going through to answer your question in the chat. There was no question 8. There were some bonus ones, but there were no question 8, only 7. So you want to take this into thoughtful consideration because you're mapping out a strategy on how to maximize your time and money. Again, we're looking to be savvy business owners and make a quick leap in our business and continue to grow our business and maintain consistent cash flow in our business. So it's important that we're mapping this out and thoughtful in our consideration so that we're maximizing our time and our money. So again, you don't have to go as a speaker or sponsor. You can just go as an attendee. And I outline this entire process in detail in the Cash from Conferences training program and support you in deciding what is the best strategy for your business that's going to yield the highest return. Because I've gone to events as an attendee and paid less than $200 to go and closed a $15,000 client at that event. I've also had clients go to an event as a speaker and close $100,000 at the event. Or I've had people go as a sponsor, and myself have gone as a sponsor and closed anywhere from 5 to 6 figures at the event. So any of these strategies can work, being a sponsor, speaker, or attendee. You just have to know which is the right strategy that's going to be the most effective and profitable for you. So today, just to recap, before we wrap up tonight, today we covered your why, right? Again, that was important so that you could make these decisions and make good, sound decisions for your business, your why. We also talked about ideal client versus target market. We talked about how to search for and find the best events. And then we just spent some time talking about how to qualify the events. And then once you've found these events and qualified them and decided how you're going to participate, now you need to be able to clearly articulate yourself and what you do or what your superpower is and how you help people so that you're attracting your prospects to you. So one powerful strategy that we've used to get clients, one of my favorites that's most effective for me is I will be a sponsor where I'll have a table or a booth at an event, but I'll also make sure that I also have a couple minutes on stage in front of the entire room to talk about what I do. So this is really effective when you know how to articulate what you do in a very clear and concise way quickly, right? You need to be able to get that point across very quickly. I've paid several thousands of dollars just for 2 minutes on stage. So if you do the math on, let's say it's $5,000 and you have 2 minutes, you do the math per second on that, you want to make sure you're clear and concise, you get the point across, and it's effective. So earlier on, I told you at the end of the boot camp, I was going to show you what were the 4 steps to do that. So tomorrow I'll go into more detail on it, but the 4 steps are inspire, educate, offer or invite, and motivate. So step 1, inspire. Step 2, educate. Step 3, make an offer or invite them to something. And then step 4, you want to motivate them. So I'll go into this in more detail tomorrow for day 2 of the boot camp. So again, tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern time, we start day 2 of the boot camp, get clients from other people's events. And the theme for tomorrow, we're going to pick up where I just left off. We're going to talk about how to position yourself super powerfully so that you engage in great conversations that turn into clients. And we're going to cover tomorrow, so this is really exciting. We're going to cover how to have those great conversations that engage people and then actually turn them into a client. Then we're also going to help you discover what is your superpower that's going to help you stand out and attract clients to you. So we all have our own unique gifts and power. So we're going to help you discover what is your superpower. And then we're also going to talk about how to get super hot leads excited and anxious to talk to you, to the point where they're like, when is your next available appointment? Or when can you talk? Like, we want them that excited to talk to you based on what you're doing and what you're saying. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Plus, the gift for you tomorrow is finding your superpower proposition. So we're going to work through that and show you how to find your superpower with that gift. So speaking of which, I want to thank you for being here and staying at the end of this boot camp. And so because you are here, I want to reward you. And I have two things for you before we wrap up and say goodnight. The first thing is your assignment for the boot camp. So again, I told you that you would have an assignment for each day. And the assignment is going to have all the questions that I took you through for your why. It's also going to help you with information on, oh goodness. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the other questions on there, but basically it's going to help me get a clear picture of where you're at, what your goals are for your business. And I know what it is. I'm so sorry. You're going to implement what we just learned. What I would love you to do is look up a couple events, just 2 events. Just do a quick search and find 2 events that you think could be a possible event that you would want to attend, sponsor, or speak at. And then you're going to post it in the Google form. So actually, let me show you the Google form really quick where you're going to post all of this stuff. So we'll just take just a couple more minutes here and I'll show this to you. Okay, so this is the form you're going to go to. You're going to enter in your questions and your goals for your business, but then you're also going to look up 2 events for your business based on what you learned, and then post the link to the website. I'm actually going to look at these events and check them out for you. So would you consider going to this event? Why or why not? So I want you to actually put yes, I would go to this, or no, I wouldn't go to this, because based on these questions and quickly looking at it, it looks like this, right? So I don't expect you to be able to call and get answers to all these 7 questions I shared with you, but just do a quick preliminary look at the event and tell me from looking at it and from the information you can see online, would you go to this event or not? Okay, so I just want to get a grasp on, are you able to really search for these events, and are you understanding the information I've shared with you so far? So I'm going to post the link to the assignment in the chat box right now for you guys. It is a bit.ly link, bit.ly/day1 assignment. So you can copy and paste that. I will also email you guys the link to the assignment as well. In case you missed this, I will email it to you guys as well. But that's where you're going to go to answer these questions, and I'm going to review your homework personally to make sure that you're understanding everything. The second thing I have for you guys before we end is I have my little fairies at work that tell me who was on the boot camp and who wasn't on the boot camp. So I will check with them to see who was here. And those of you that were here on the boot camp or watched it later in the recording, I will email you a copy of your gifts. So gift number 1, how to find conferences and events where your clients are waiting. And gift number 2, the 7 questions to qualify conferences and save you $7,000. So the process is, I just took you guys through, it's all outlined. It's all outlined in these gifts. So I will email that to you personally. So I will be checking to see who's on the boot camp and make sure you guys get it. Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I so appreciate you. You guys have a great night. Sleep well, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow for day 2 of the boot camp. Get clients from other people's events. So thank you so much. You guys have a great night. And hello to those of you in Ireland and in the UK. Thank you for, if you're awake, thank you for joining us. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great night.